think this one is going to have to be an MBR because there's just too many books. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris and today's video is a SPFNO MBR or TBR. I would love to say TBR, but there's a lot of books on here. I'm away for a full week in June for work, so MBR may be a safer bet. SPFNO came about as a bit of a playoff of SPFBO. For those of you who don't know, the self-published fantasy blog off was announced in May, and the rules around that particular competition changed this year, whereby Mark Lawrence, who runs the competition, opened up the link for 24 hours, and it was no longer a first in, best dressed, and the books that got selected for the SPFBO 10 competition were done in a random order or picked out by a randomizer, which meant that not everyone could get in. As a result, a lot of reviewers and other book community people are jumping in to try and shed some light on books that didn't get in by joining the lovingly named SPFNO, which came from E.L. Lyons, who is over on Twitter. I'll have her handle linked down below if you want to go and check her out, to basically, like I said, try and shed some light on these authors that did not get in. What that means for me as a reviewer is super exciting, is that I get to make 2 TBRs and get to know a whole bunch of books that were not on my radar that now are. Also, it means that my TBR just grows exponentially every year until I need to retire probably about 10 years ago. At this point, if I want to get all the books that I'm interested in reading read. So this month is going to be dedicated to a SPFNO TBR. These are books that did not get into the competition this year, and then next month in July will be a SPFBO TBR where I will talk about 10 books that I do want to read from the competition. That'll probably be an MBR as well, because I've got 2 in this list that are not in the competition, and one's a chonker, and just spoiler alert, it's Steven Erikson, and you know those books take me for friggin' ever, but I don't want to forget things that are happening, so I need to keep on that journey. Before I jump into the actual list of SPFNO books, please make sure you're checking out the description box down below for links to my social media and Discord should you want to come along for the ride. Now, on this list, I have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 6. No, 7. I have one physically. I have 7 books that did not make it into the competition, so they'll be the books that I am prioritizing this month, and then I have one arc that I need to read for a live discussion with the author, which is not included in the SPFNO list, and also the next Malazan book, which I'll be starting towards the very end of the month. So we will go through the SPFNO books first. First up, we have audio. I want to be doing Violence and Vigilance. This is by David T. List. Now, my buddy Morgan Shank sent me a photo of this one and said, look, I think you're really going to enjoy this one. I heard that it did not get into SPFBO 10, so it shot up to the top of this list. And then I found out it had an audiobook, and it just solidified my plans to have that one on the list, because not all of these do have an audiobook, so when they do, it's very, very exciting for me. This one says, Violence and Vigilance is Book 1 of the Teresa Untamed, an epic fantasy series featuring an eternal vendetta, scars of grief and loss, untethered rage, and hope against all odds. Iridessa the Undying, a renowned arena fighter in Forvilda, probably pronounced that wrong, has escaped imprisonment, but at a great cost. Broken and alone, she must outwit and outfight her pursuers. Basalt Kale, a fouled consonant monk of the lowest order, embarks on a quest to improve Orksan, but discovers vile secrets of his order that he cannot abide. The heathens of Forvilda amass ships and beasts of war to sail the faithless sea and assault the monks of Uskan, I pronounced that wrong the first time, who will greet the steel-bearing invaders with elemental destruction. This is sounding very cool, and like a cool audio experience as well. This Violence and Vigilance is a story of survival with dark humor, exotic settings, savage beasts, and damaged characters. If you enjoy the grittiness of Joe Abercrombie's First Law or the urgency of Pierce Brown's Red Rising, you'll love Violence and Vigilance. Interesting. Those are 2 authors I do not naturally gravitate towards, so we'll see if the combo and the pull is enough to have me enjoy the book. If I get time on audio, I will be adding the Bloodstones by Tori Tekken. This is a double-edged sword for me. Not only do I want to start experiencing Tori's writing, but I also want to hear Andrew Meredith as a narrator. So this is sort of a two-bird situation for me. Double-edged sword was not the correct term. But anyway, this is the Bloodstones Legends of Bruhai, book number 1. It says, his name is not worthy. A traitor is executed, his name ripped away from history. Now the kingdom stands on the brink of a succession war that could bring the country to its knees. Forces stalk the darkness, moving pawns into place in a deadly game. Garen and his brothers were not meant to witness the execution, but now they find themselves trapped in the center of a political quagmire. When Garen faces the loss of everything he knows, will he also lose himself? To the south, tribal warlords clash in an endless cycle of violence. Sindri, the daughter of a chieftain, kills for the honor of her people. An alliance with a foreign queen offers the power to unite the tribes, but at what cost? Someday, history will remember them as legends. I really enjoy this cover. The more I look at it, I enjoy the premise. I've read this blurb out before and it still excites me. So hopefully I have time for a second audiobook. I do have 9 hours on a plane, so that bodes well for that early in June. So potentially that one will be being read as well. The next one, and a huge apology to the author, he sent me a review copy of this over a year ago, and when I saw it didn't get into SPFNO, I was like, you know what, that definitely has to be read. This is something that'll be read very early in the month, and that is The Forsaken Planet by Brian Wilson. It says, when mysterious aircraft wreak havoc across Earth's skies, it is revealed that there are clusters of other planets where humankind resides, distant worlds where people wield the power of the stars themselves. It is an energy force that can bring about miracles, or, as the aliens' fleet's ruthless leader displays, unleash horrors beyond imagination. After experiencing a loss during the onslaught, Colton Sampson, an ordinary college student, vows to protect his loved ones at any cost. But to learn the power to do so, he must enlist into the army of the Universal Throne, a second alien force with its own agenda. With the revelation of a secret prophecy foretelling humanity's demise and Colton's improbable role in preventing it, he embarks alongside a diverse group of friends to the throne's capital, the planet of Vintara. There he faces prejudice from supposed allies, lifelike combat simulations that test him to his core, and the looming threat of a universal war. Only by embracing his true potential can Colton hope to secure the safety he seeks, in a universe that views him as nothing more than forsaken. It sounds really cool. I've been digging sci-fi this year, so I'm looking forward to jumping into that. Another one that has been on my radar and I've read out on these lists many times at this point is Help, My Dog is the Chosen One by Ronit J. Now, I am also interested in this author's anthology that's coming out. I'm sorry if you hear the laptop, that sounds like it's taking off. I need to buy a cooling mat. I do not have one, but it's very noisy down here. But yes, I've read this one a few times now on the channel, and I'm still looking forward to it, and it's going to be read this month. It says, Kunal is forced to adventure because his dog is the chosen one. Kunal is just your average guy living on rent in Mumbai, working from home, suffering from anxiety. His world is turned upside down when his girlfriend asks him to foster a rescued street dog. Despite his qualms, Kunal agrees because what's the worst that can happen? That's when the extra-dimensional Dark Lord attacks. The dog is the only one who can stop the Dark Lord, but he can't do it without Kunal's help. Can Kunal overcome his many anxieties, or will the world suffer for eternity? This is a nice short one. I'm hoping to get to this one relatively early as well. It may be one I read on my trip because it's easy to fit on my phone or my Kindle as I travel across Australia through to the other side of the country. Next up on this list is A Path of Blades. This is by R.E. Sanders. It says, this life is a path of blades. Will you grasp the hilt or face the point? A very good question when dealing with swords. Ingvar Darrell is an honor-bound soldier, a knight tasked with defending his country whenever he is called to battle. Violence and war provide no glory for Ingvar, who only wants to be at home on his rural estate. Oh, my dude, same. His hopes for peace are shattered and his life is thrown into turmoil as secrets are revealed and plots are hatched. Beset on all sides and running out of allies, how will Ingvar's friendships and family cope with the forces that try to tear them apart? How will he even survive? And which part will he choose? I've been looking forward to this one for a while. I've heard very good things about Ari Sanders' writing, so I'm happy to be diving in this month. The next one I have is a physical copy, and this is The Crimson Court by Brendan Noble, which I'll hold up to the camera there. Sorry, that ring light not only will reflect off my glasses, but also on this cover. And this is a Kickstarter edition, so I do have the beautiful blue cover on the naked hardback there. Fear the spirits, birthed from crystal and crimson. They come no matter the light nor the dark. They remember naught of life nor love. They seek to reap what they have lost, and they have lost everything. Esme loved this one, hyping it up. I know, Esme, that you want me to be updating you on my thoughts of this one. I promise that I will, but this one will be being read once I am back from my Sydney trip. And last up on the SPFNO section of this TBR MBR is Shadows of Old Town by T. Olson. This is one that was gifted to me by the author as a review copy, so thank you very much to the author, as was A Path of Blades, Help My Dog Is a Chosen One, and The Forsaken Planet. So a lot of these I do have as review copies, and they'll all be getting reviews. But Shadows of Old Town says, legend says there was once a labyrinth where the city of Sangri now stands. I probably pronounced that wrong. Apologies. Each year, on the Night of Shadows, the populace stays inside whilst gateways to the labyrinth appear in the streets, and shadows wait to devour the brave or the foolish. As a child, Gray had been both brave and foolish, and it still haunts him. The labyrinth changed him, leaving him with the ability to sense magic, and he spent his life hiding it. He deals with his trauma through snark and overconfidence, relatable, and has risen in the ranks of the criminal guild to control the most unruly district in the city, Old Town. When he's framed for a string of murders in his district, he decides to investigate on his own and plunges into a plot that goes deeper than he ever expected. Abandoned by the guild, betrayed by his friends, he's blackmailed into stealing an artifact straight out of legend. But can he survive the labyrinth a second time? This one sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very much looking forward to it. And another nice short one at under 400 pages. So that's lovely. A lot of these books are under 400 pages, except for the last one on this list. So the arc that I'll be reading for a discussion in the month of June is A Killer and a King by Tom Dumrell. I've had Tom on the channel before, and I love the Pillars of Peace series that he wrote. I don't know if you can see it up on the bookshelves there. I don't think it's one that's facing out. No, it's not. He writes very low fantasy books, and they are like, this one is likened to Agatha Christie. There is a love of murder mystery here in like that royal setting. So if you like those type of things, you may enjoy this one. A Killer and a King says, Cadriel is the capital of Fermantia and the center of the realm's power, an empire to strike fear into the heart of opposing nations. But could a motivated killer bring the giant to its knees? Prince Leander is frustrated with his present position, always keeping one eye on the future. He's never short of grand plans, but just how true can he remain to his principles? And will the elusive Cadriel killer let him live to see his ambitions realized? In a ruthless land where wealth and power are controlled by only a few self-interested men, motives abound and no one is safe. Sounds like a bit of fun. This one comes in at a very humble 264 pages, so another short one to have in for the month. And I should be talking to Tom on release day, which is June 17th. Now, the last one I have here is The Chonk, and I'll be starting this one at the end of June. I definitely will not be finishing it before the end of June, and that is Toll the Hounds by Stephen Erickson. I have learnt that the best way for me to read these books is actually on my Kindle. I like the philosophical meandering personally. I've heard there's a lot of, or not a lot, happening in this book, but it's very, very chunky, so potentially lots of navel gazing is going to happen. Roger will tell me. I think Roger already has told me that this one is quite long. I thought Reaper's Gale was very long to read, so we'll see. This is one that has been on my TBR since I was a teen. I remember going into bookstores when I was in university at 18, 19, and always gravitating towards this book, so I'm finally reading it, and I'll be doing it on Kindle because carrying this thing around is like a brick. But I do have a physical copy. When I read Reaper's Gale physically, the spine, like I don't mind a broken spine, but because of how thick the book is, it just broke so many times, and I ended up switching to Kindle. Anyway, so I'll be starting Toll the Hounds at the end of the month, and it will very likely bleed over into July and be what I finish in July. Those are the books that I'm planning on reading in the month of June. My SPFNO TBR, as well as a couple of add-ins there. What are you picking up for the month? Is there anything in SPFNO that has caught your eye? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like the content, give it one of those. And if you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will, and I will catch you in the next video.